influencers and credible sources of information, and how do you market to, millennials? It's gotten, Carlos, it's gotten really tricky out there, right? I mean, it used to be you trusted certain media organizations to get your truth. Fast forward pandemic, a couple political administration, people don't trust these institutions anymore, right? And so, that combined with the influx of people getting their information online on social media, you have more citizen journalism, you have more kind of enthusiasts that are putting out their own kind of versions of content and truth. You have social influencers, but so how do you figure out what's credible now?
Well, I want to take a little bit of a step back and highlight a book that I just finished as research to my book by Jason Steinhauer. The book is called History Disrupted, and it is a history of e-history. So Jason sets out to look at how did the community of people online who write and think and post about history, how did that come about? Where did it come from? And he goes back to tell the story of the origin of Wikipedia. And he mentions that there were originally two versions of Wikipedia. There was Wikipedia and there was Newpedia. Wikipedia, as we now know, anyone can go on, right, and contribute content. Newpedia was run by experts, historians, and professors, and what we would have called the traditional information base of history. That didn't last very long. It was gone after about 6 months. Wikipedia, of course, went on to become one of the top 4 or 5 most visited sites in the world. And for Steinhauer, this is the beginning of this transformation. And he tells us a remarkable story with the historian Tim Messer-Cruz, who is an expert on something that occurred called the Haymarket Right, which is a labor right in 1886. There were errors in the Wikipedia entry, and he contacted him and said, I'm writing a new book about this event. I have all the facts, and here is what really happened in one part of the story. Wikipedia's response is amazing. They said, we don't really care. Wikipedia is not about what's true. It's about what most people think is true. And to Steinhauer, this is a remarkable statement, because I think that's the world we are in today. What we read on Wikipedia or in many other settings is not the truth. It's what most people believe to be the truth, which then leads us to a world that we live in today where, I think you mentioned it, enthusiasm, because you post 15 times a day on topic X, brings you to the top of the influencer or believability charts, right? That you may not know anything about this, but because you talk about it all the time, little by little, we start to think, well, okay, Dan posts about beekeeping 10 times a day. Boy, he must know a lot about beekeeping. And pretty soon you're on CNN, and this is the world's top authority, on beekeeping.
Yeah. And it's scary, right? I mean, listen, we sit at the center of a big network, and this research, project that we were just talking about is very much based on, aggregating a lot of opinions. But at some point, somebody has to kind of credentialize the source, right? Or at least that's the way it used to be. I remember being in the media business, and there was this debate many years ago about who would credential the bloggers and the citizen journalists and things. Now you fast forward to now, I mean, it's at a point where anybody with with a following becomes an expert. I think we talked last week a little bit about in one of our conversations, Carlos, just about the business model changing to a point where the more controversial you are and the more polarizing you are, often the more traffic you get, right? And so you have a slightly I think at odds business model issue that's driving a lot of this polarization that's happening.